Years after graduation, I ended up interviewing my high school crush. Did you ever have a secret crush on someone back in school? Carter glanced over at me almost imperceptibly. I had a crush on a girl in high school, he said, his face a total blank. I intentionally bombed my grades to get into her class, tutored her for 2 months, and then aced the final to get back into the honors class and swear off love for good. My coworker asked, confused, were you just that smitten with her? Carter looked at me and let out 2 dry laughs. Obviously not, he sneered. She was pretty, but unbelievably dumb. Hey Fiona, are you free this afternoon? It was my coworker. I thought for a moment. I didn't have anything major planned. She rushed on, I have to run to my daughter's school. The teacher said she has a nosebleed. I have an interview this afternoon, could you please cover for me? My coworker handed me a thick briefing book. My eyes immediately locked onto a familiar name. Carter, my high school crush. Every time I thought of his name, I was filled with regret. What was I even thinking back then? Why didn't I just tell him how I felt? At least out of all his secret admirers, I was the only one who ever got close to him. But there are no dovers in life. After we graduated, I never saw him again. Later, I heard he'd become a huge star. I'd see news about him online all the time, and I knew more and more people were falling for him. His dream had finally come true. I just wondered if he still remembered the promise he made to me. Fiona, what are you spacing out for? If you're busy, I'll just find someone else. My coworker's voice snapped me out of my memories. I came to my senses and quickly hugged the prep file to my chest. I'm not busy. I'll go. That afternoon, I rode with 2 other colleagues to Carter's studio. The file in my hands wasn't heavy, but it felt like it weighed a ton. Honestly, it was useless to me. I already remembered every detail of Carter's career since his debut. At the beginning of the month, my boss said we'd landed an interview with a major celebrity. I never imagined it would be Carter. If I'd known it was him, I would have fought tooth and nail for the spot. I wouldn't have even cared if it was unpaid. As my mind drifted, the car came to a stop. A man who introduced himself as Carter's assistant led us into his creative studio. Carter is on his way back. If you could just wait a few more minutes, we'd appreciate it. A moment later, Carter pushed the door open. With his long legs, he crossed the room in a few strides and sat down on a chair next to a guitar stand. From the moment he walked in, my eyes were glued to him. Tickets to Carter's concerts were incredibly hard to get, and even scalper tickets were nearly impossible to find. So, I'd only ever seen him online. Seeing him again after all these years, I suddenly realized I think I might still be into him. The heart in my chest, which had been quiet for so long, started beating with a steady rhythm. Maybe Carter noticed my intense gaze. He looked up, and our eyes met. It was like a shield formed around us. A shield that blocked out all the noise from the outside world. Let's start. Carter's voice was as captivating as ever. My gaze fell to his lips. They were really nice. I wanted to kiss them. It's weird. 16 is supposed to be the age of bold confidence. But I was a coward. Now I'm 24, and my thoughts have gotten so brazen. Yesterday, Carter's studio announced his new single on X. The theme of the post was about secret crushes. I looked at the first question on the prep sheet and asked in a steady voice. Everyone's heard the preview for your new song. We were wondering what inspired you to suddenly write a song about a secret crush. Carter spoke calmly. Not long ago, I went back to my hometown and ran into my old homeroom teacher. He asked me a question. My coworker followed up, what kind of question? Carter continued, he said he could never figure out why I, a student who was always in the honors class, would suddenly drop down to a regular class. We were all waiting for him to continue, but it was clear Carter didn't want to say any more. Then I asked the second question. Carter, did you ever have a secret crush on someone when you were a student? Carter glanced over at me almost imperceptibly. He said, his face blank, I had a crush on a girl in high school. I intentionally bombed my grades to get into her class, tutored her for 2 months, and then aced the final to get back into the honors class and swore off love for good. My coworker was puzzled. Were you just that smitten with her? Carter looked at me and let out 2 dry laughs. He sneered, obviously not. She was pretty, but unbelievably dumb. I looked at him, completely lost. What did he mean? Was he talking about me? Excuse me, I got into NYU's journalism program on my own merit. How dumb could I be? Besides, didn't he say he liked girls who were a little dumber? I vaguely remember being part of Carter's army of secret admirers back in high school. Right after I started liking him, I heard that the girl ranked second in our year had confessed her feelings to Carter, who was ranked first. And I just so happened to witness the iconic scene of Carter rejecting her. I still remember his words vividly. "Sorry, I'm not into girls who are too smart." So, in our sophomore year, when Carter suddenly showed up in my class and became my desk mate, I put on a huge act. I liked him but was too scared to confess. So I deliberately pretended I didn't understand anything, just so Carter would have to explain the problems to me. Carter and I did get a lot closer. But 2 months later, at the sophomore year finals, Carter tested his way back into the honors class. I was heartbroken about it for quite a while. I looked at Carter, hesitating to speak, wanting to defend myself. Is it possible she was just pretending to be dumb? Carter gave me a strange look for a moment, then said, "I really don't think that's a possibility. Her dumbness was all natural." The subtext being, she was genuinely stupid. I was a little angry, but not stupid enough to tell him in front of everyone. I got into NYU's journalism program. I'm actually really smart, okay? I stayed quiet for the rest of the interview. My colleagues handled the follow-up work. When the interview was over, I watched a crowd of people surround him for makeup touch-ups and brief him on his upcoming schedule. I suddenly realized the gap between us was getting wider and wider. That promise didn't seem so important anymore. Just being old classmates is fine. It's good. Just as I was about to leave with my colleagues, Carter's assistant suddenly called out to me. "Hi, Ms. Wan. Let's exchange numbers. I'll send you Carter's contact info." I froze for a second. Was this Carter's idea? By the time I snapped out of it, Carter and I were already contacts on my phone. It wasn't until I got back to the office that a message from Carter came through. "Sorry, just landed. I was hoping to talk to you alone after the interview." I told him I understood. Celebrities are always busy, after all. I tried to be light and humorous in my reply. Is the big star Carter trying to catch up with his not-so-smart old desk mate? Carter replied instantly, "Fiona, I know you got into NYU. You're very smart." I was baffled for a moment. Was the subtle gaze he kept throwing my way during the interview just my imagination? Another message from Carter came in, "Let's meet up when I get back in the country." How could I refuse an invitation from the person I'd liked for so many years? I replied, "Okay." For the next week, my colleagues and I were busy working on the video of Carter's interview. After the final video was officially released, the hashtag Carter's Crush confession blew up online. Almost immediately, news broke that Carter's new single was available on all major music platforms. Netizens commented one after another. LMAO, smitten? More like spitting mad. So it's true, every genius has their slacker desk mate, ha ha ha. This is a true story. I did the same dumb thing back in the day. Now she's my wife, sleeping right next to me. Why do I get the feeling that the really pretty reporter knows something? Otherwise, why would she suggest the girl Carter liked was just pretending to be dumb? Everyone go listen to Carter's Crush confession. It takes me back to the good old days before the author of my favorite novel turned dark. I was snuggled in bed, scrolling through the comments, then switched back to my texts. I scrolled to the very bottom and saw my chat with Carter. The conversation had ended with his reply, "Okay." Maybe he'd forgotten his promise to meet up. Ding. My eyes must be playing tricks on me from all the late nights at work recently. Otherwise, why would the chat window with Carter's name on it just disappear? Refusing to believe it, I scrolled up the screen. A little red dot appeared on Carter's profile picture. "Carter, are you free tomorrow night?" Me, "Yes." Him, "I'll send you the time and place tomorrow." Me, "Okay." Him, "Fiona, you're being a little cold." Looking at just this chat history, I guess I was. Maybe it's because Carter is so important to me. It leaves me a little tongue-tied, a little timid. I'm afraid something I say might bother him. We're not those carefree teenagers anymore. Now he's a huge star, and I'm just a regular reporter. No matter how you look at it, we're from two completely different worlds. I explained to Carter, I'm not. I'm just afraid of saying something that might upset the big star. Carter replied quickly, "Fiona, I'll take anything and everything you say." I read the sentence out loud, word for word. My brain instantly short-circuited. I had no idea what he meant by that. It was past 11 at night. I called my bestie, Leah. Fiona, you better be calling about something life or death, or I swear I'm coming over to your place to beat you up right now. Leah must have just woken up, she sounded a bit grumpy. I said slowly, I ran into Carter last week. Leah just your head a couple of times, seemingly uninterested. That's normal. You run into celebrities on the street sometimes. I said, no, I interviewed Carter. Leah didn't believe me. Fiona, are you running a fever? Your tiny company managed to land an interview with Carter? Hey, just listen. I didn't expect it either. Anyway, I interviewed him. Do you remember the guy I told you I had a crush on in high school? That was Carter? Yes, it was him. And we've even exchanged numbers now. Oh, so you're just old classmates. Adding each other is no big deal. I then described my text conversation with Carter to Leah. Finally, Leah said, I think he probably still remembers you. I asked, what about that last sentence? It sounds like a pickup line, but also not. You don't actually think you're the high school crush he was talking about, do you? I retorted, why not? We really did go through all that. Even if it is you, don't get your hopes up. You'd be better off getting some sleep. It's Monday tomorrow, and you've got to get back to the grind. Instead of guessing, isn't he meeting you tomorrow? Just ask him then. Leah hung up after that, leaving me to ponder how on earth I should reply to the guy I've liked for so many years. Big star, that's not really an appropriate thing to say to me. I didn't get a reply from Carter. Instead, Leah forwarded me a post from X. Fiona, just give it up. The real girl has already claimed her spot. They're in the same circle, both celebrities. Do you know what it means for them to be seen at the airport together? I clicked on it. It was a fan cam video of Carter at the airport. In it, he was walking side by side with another female celebrity, laughing and talking. Netizen comments. Is Jenna the girl from Crush Confession? I think Carter and Jenna went to the same high school his senior year. Hasn't Jenna's whole brand in the entertainment industry always been the ditzy actress? Looking at this, maybe it's not just a persona. Could she be genuinely ditzy? I'm totally shipping the ditzy actress and the top-tier singer. It's been so long since I've seen Carter laugh this happily. I couldn't bring myself to read the hundreds of thousands of comments that followed. Even though I knew Carter and I were like two parallel lines that would never intersect, this reality check was a bit too sudden and jarring. I was in a terrible mood, so I just turned off my phone and decided to sleep. When I woke up the next day, there were over a dozen messages on my phone. All from Carter. Why is it not appropriate? Fiona, are you trying to keep your distance from me? I don't have any other intentions. I just thought it's been a long time since I've seen an old classmate and wanted to chat and catch up. You don't have to feel like you're offending me. You offended me plenty of times in high school, why are you so timid now? You didn't have this self-awareness back then, you don't need it now. Are you avoiding me because you have a boyfriend? Your boyfriend seems a bit petty. Does he control who you're friends with, even old classmates? Asleep? Good night. Carter's messages tangled my already confused thoughts into a complete mess. I couldn't figure out how he jumped from that's not really appropriate to thinking I had a boyfriend and was avoiding him. He even called my non-existent boyfriend petty. And what did he mean I offended him countless times in high school? Wasn't he the one who offered to help me with my homework? I remember feeling bad for bothering him so often and was about to ask the class president for help instead. But he said, why would you bother someone else? Isn't bothering me enough? God knows how much effort I put into getting his attention. Pretending to be dumb is hard work, okay? I just didn't expect the image to stick so well that my crush would think I was genuinely stupid. And that he'd remember it for all these years. Monday mornings are always especially hectic. By the time I was ready to leave for work, I remembered I hadn't replied to Carter's messages. Good morning. A few minutes later, a message from Carter came through. I sent you all those messages, and all you say is good morning? Do you really need to be this distant? I bit my lip, still unsure how to respond to his questioning tone. The next second, a call from Carter came through on my phone. In my excitement, my hand slipped and I answered. Fiona, when did you get so cold? Over the phone, Carter's voice had a strange hint of grievance. Huh? I'm not. It's just been so many years, I don't know what to say. Yeah, it's been years. Did you forget all about me? Carter asked again. The subway was noisy, but on his end, I could hear the sound of rushing wind. And the voices of staff members. Carter, we need to reshoot a quick scene. We need you to get back in the ocean, please. I didn't answer Carter's question, instead asking him, where are you right now? Shooting the music video for Crush Confession. I don't know if you remember, but we watched the sunrise by the sea together once. My voice was barely a whisper. Yeah, I remember. When can we do that again? I said, that's probably not possible anymore. Carter seemed a little unhappy. Fiona, I'm inviting you to watch the sunrise with me, and you're turning me down? If you're worried your boyfriend will get jealous, he can come with us. I don't have a boyfriend. I just figured you'd be really busy, maybe you wouldn't have time. Carter seemed afraid I would refuse. No time like the present. Let's do it tomorrow morning. I'll come pick you up. I was in a tough spot. Tomorrow was Tuesday, a work day. I had to go to work. If I took the day off, I'd lose my perfect attendance bonus. I neither refused nor agreed. Let's talk about it tomorrow. The call ended, and it was back to the daily grind. I was distracted all morning. After lunch, I went to ask my boss for the day off. As expected, my request was denied, and I got an earful. Fiona, don't think you can slack off just because you've had a little success. That Carter interview, I don't know what strings you pulled to get it, but let me tell you, a pig could have gotten results with that interview. Aren't Saturday and Sunday enough for you to have fun? Who takes a day off on a weekday like you? My boss, Nancy, had it out for me for a long time. From my very first day, she's never been pleasant to me. I've never understood where her hostility comes from. This was the first time I stood up to her directly. Nancy, I'm curious. What's the reason you can't stand me? I don't think I've done anything to offend you, have I? Nancy was speechless, caught off guard by my question. She became flustered and angry. You dare talk back to me? You don't want this job anymore, is that it? I laughed and ripped off my ID badge. Actually, you're right. I don't. After leaving the company, Carter messaged me again. Sorry, I forgot tomorrow is a workday. This weekend works too. A strange and complicated emotion surged within me. A few days ago, I had glanced at Carter's publicly released schedule online. This weekend, he was clearly not free. How long would he have to work non-stop to free up his weekend? He probably wouldn't even have time to sleep. All that trouble, just to watch a sunrise? I didn't ask him that question, just replied, it's easier for me to take a day off than for you to squeeze out the time. Carter, Fiona, I don't want you to have to go out of your way. It wasn't rush hour yet, so the subway was quiet. But his words sent waves crashing through my heart. That night, I followed the address Carter gave me to a bookstore near the university. The bookstore had a beautiful name, Serendipity. When I arrived, a clerk saw me and led me up to a room on the second floor. Carter was inside. It looked like he'd been waiting for a while. You're finally here. I felt a bit awkward and tried to sound casual. Have you been waiting long? No, I just got here myself. My eyes suddenly fell on the nearly empty coffee cup on the table. I highly doubt someone could down a coffee in one gulp. But I wasn't going to call him out on it. I sat down across from Carter. He started most of the conversations. For the most part, I was just a listener. I only chimed in more when we talked about some of the embarrassing things that happened in high school. Finally, I asked the question that had been bugging me. I'm curious, why did you choose our company for the interview? Carter said, just looking out for an old classmate. That's pretty normal. Normal? A few months ago, I remember someone tagging Carter in our old high school group chat. They asked him to promote their family's suit business. Just a couple of days ago, Carter replied in the group, sorry, I don't have time recently. But on the day of my interview with him, he didn't even have time to exchange contact info. He rushed to the studio and left just as quickly. He was that busy, yet he was willing to take 2 hours for an interview. Was it really just for an old classmate? The answer was practically screaming in my head. Leah's words echoed in my ears. Just ask him. Ask him if he likes you. Then I remembered the ex-post Leah sent me. It was hard to say. What if he really was just helping out an old classmate? Carter, either way, thank you. Carter chuckled lightly. Do I look like the charitable type? I was taken aback. But I don't have money to pay you. Fiona, watch a sunrise with me this weekend. Consider it my payment. I blinked. I guess it doesn't have to be this weekend anymore. Carter waited for me to continue. I quit. What time tomorrow? 5 in the morning. I'll come pick you up. Okay. I don't know who leaked the news that Carter was at the bookstore. By the time we were ready to leave, the store was mobbed with people. I'd never seen a crowd like this. If I walked out with Carter like this, wouldn't I be doomed? I looked at Carter helplessly. What do we do? Carter seemed to be enjoying it. You know, Fiona. Your tone just now sounds exactly like it did in high school when I'd explain a math problem to you several times and you still wouldn't get it. Then you'd get mad at yourself and pout, saying something like, so what? If you won't teach me, I'll just find someone else. How could I possibly let you go find someone else? His words were so flirtatious, but I was stuck on the last sentence. Carter seemed to have forgotten. He was the one who left our class first, who stopped being my desk mate. In high school, I didn't have the courage to ask him why he left, but things are different now. Maybe the adrenaline from quitting my job earlier was still pumping through my veins. Anyway, I just asked. Was the girl you talked about in the interview me? Carter's lips parted slightly. Yes. Why did you leave our class in high school, and why did you transfer schools? You even stopped using your chat account. And why couldn't I find you? Carter only gave me 2 words in reply, family reasons. He wasn't willing to tell me anything else. This was how old classmates interacted. I had once won the lottery. But it seems the ticket expired. Boss, the car to pick you up is at the back door. You guys should go now, or you won't be able to get out later. Boss? Oh, Carter owns this bookstore. The name of the store even has the name of the person he likes in it. Serendipity. My name is Fiona. It was hard not to read into that. You talk too much. Carter gently chided the clerk. At the back door of the bookstore. I urged Carter to leave. You go ahead. I'll grab a cab in a bit. Carter frowned, a little displeased. Fiona, get in the car. I didn't want to. If the paparazzi caught this, my life would be over, right? I didn't want to cause trouble for Carter. I was also scared of online hate mobs. Do I have to get out and carry you into the car? Carter asked. Big star, my legs are attached to me. I can run on my own. The subtext being, no way are you getting out to carry me. Carter was at a loss. He took out his phone and made a call. Then he said, wait a minute. I'll have my assistant drive you home. Since he had gone to the trouble of making a call, it would be rude to refuse again. Okay, see you tomorrow then? See you tomorrow. Because I was going to watch the sunrise with Carter, I was too excited to sleep much that night. 4 in the morning. I was standing in front of my closet, racking my brain over what to wear. And my dark circles, no amount of concealer could hide them. Just as I finished changing and putting on a full face of makeup, I received a text from Carter. We might not be able to see the sunrise. He also sent a picture. It was taken just now. He looked like he was at the airport. I have to go to the coast to shoot a movie. It's a last-minute notice. My wonderful mood came to an abrupt halt. I pretended not to care and replied, oh. It's okay, I just woke up. Carter, sorry, did I wake you? Me, it's fine. Another message from Carter came through. If you're willing, I can send an invitation to your company for you to be my on-set reporter. Carter seemed to have forgotten that I had already quit. I was just about to refuse. When my boss from the company called me. To be honest, my boss was okay to me, at least not inexplicably hostile like Nancy. I answered, and my boss first apologized to me, then said, Fiona, it wasn't easy for the company to train you, and now there's a big project that specifically requested you. Is it for the on-set reporter for Carter's movie? I asked. Yes, originally that interview was also supposed to be you, but I don't know how it got changed to someone else. Luckily, you ended up doing it, otherwise, I really don't know how I would have explained it to them. Boss, I'm really sorry, but I already told editor I quit yesterday. Besides, I was planning on turning Carter down anyway. A movie shoot would take at least 3 to 5 months. I'd have to see him every day. Playing with fire is dangerous. The unattainable is always the most tempting. Letting someone who has a crush on him hang around, I really don't know what Carter was thinking. Did he not care about his reputation? But my boss reasoned with me, by the book, you're supposed to give 1 month's notice for resignation. If you leave like this, you'd be in breach of contract. You know how much revenue an on-set reporter for Carter can bring to the company, right? I understood what my boss meant. Quitting was a breach of contract, and I couldn't afford the penalty. Well, I really couldn't afford it. Since Carter's plane had already taken off, my boss paid for my ticket to the coast out of his own pocket. On the plane, I looked at the night view outside the window. The feeling in my heart was strange. In that moment, I felt like the distance between me and Carter wasn't so great after all. After getting off the plane, Carter's assistant was waving at me. "What are you doing here?" I asked, confused. The assistant said, "My boss asked me to pick you up." The car door opened. And I saw Carter sitting in the back seat. "What are you doing here too?" Carter pursed his lips, looking very annoyed. "Isn't it obvious?" The assistant chimed in, "Very obvious. He was waiting for you, Ms. One." I had no idea how to respond to that. After a long pause, I finally said in a joking tone, "After I found out you transferred in senior year, I sent you a lot of messages on your chat account. I waited a long time for your reply, too." "So, you did it on purpose?" Carter asked. "On purpose what?" He couldn't possibly think I deliberately refused to be his on-set reporter just to get back at him, could he? I realized what he meant and explained, "I didn't ignore your messages on purpose. Besides, I quit my job. Sending an invitation to my company wouldn't have worked anyway." Carter's expression softened a little. "Oh. Well, next time, remember to reply to my messages." I nodded emphatically. I promised to reply instantly. Carter is a singer, and this is the first movie he's ever acted in. The movie is a teen romance. Given Carter's status, he naturally played the male lead. The female lead was Jenna, the actress who had been in the headlines with Carter a few days ago. A perfect couple, handsome and talented. Since they were the male and female leads, they spent almost the entire day together, running lines. Occasionally, at mealtimes, Carter and Jenna would eat together, laughing and talking. Jenna would sometimes smile and glance in my direction. I angrily poked at the rice in my bowl. Didn't he say I was the main character of Crush Confession? Why is he all buddy-buddy with someone else now? Out of sight, out of mind. I took my lunchbox and found a quiet spot to eat by myself. I was so lost in my own thoughts that I didn't even notice when Carter came up beside me. "What's wrong? You're all puffed up like a pufferfish." Perhaps the time we'd spent together these past few days had bridged the gap of the many years we hadn't seen each other. I don't know where I found the courage to ask him, "What's your relationship with Jenna?" Carter said, "We're just friends." "So, do you treat her the same way you treat me?" I pressed on. Carter answered, "It's different." "So, is Jenna the special one, or am I?" My newfound courage suddenly vanished. I looked into his clear, bright eyes and just couldn't bring myself to ask such a jealous question. "Fiona, you're more important than Jenna. In my heart, you'll always be special." Since we reconnected, Carter has said many things like this. I can swear that there's nothing going on between Carter and me. But he always says these flirty things that you only say when you're caught up in the moment. He plays with my heart, sending it on a roller coaster. I know that all these words don't compare to a simple "I like you." I don't know if he's playing dumb or if he really is. The director called Carter away. I watched his retreating back, unable to snap out of my daze for a long time. That night, I once again consulted my guru. At the end of our chat, Leah said, "All this guessing. What do you have a mouth for? Just go ask him." "But what if it's all in my head? Then we won't even be able to be old classmates anymore." Leah's tone was exasperated. "If he denies it, just expose him for flirting with a fan." But my thoughts aren't exactly pure either. Leah hung up on me with a single word, "Bye." The days that followed were a blur. Every day, I watched the handsome man and beautiful woman act like a little couple in front of me. When they had a stage kiss, I'd get secretly jealous. Day after day. My emotions were constantly being pulled back and forth. There was 1 week left until filming wrapped. I decided that on the day he finished shooting, I would ask Carter. I would ask him if he wanted to be with me. If he said yes, that would be perfect. If not, then he could just be a ghost in my contacts list. Filming was nearing its end. While Carter and Jenna were doing a scene, there was a sudden accident on set. The tree branch holding the swing suddenly snapped. Jenna, who was sitting on the swing, was in a precarious position. At the critical moment, Carter risked himself to push Jenna out of the way. I dropped my camera almost instantly and ran straight to Carter. "Are you hurt anywhere?" Can you move your arm? What about your leg? Carter turned his head and looked at me, kneeling beside him. Even at a time like this, he was smiling. Fiona, are you worried about me? Hearing him speak, it was clear he wasn't seriously hurt. I stood up to leave, but then I heard Carter's voice from behind me. Hiss, that hurts. I anxiously turned back around and saw him clutching his arm, his face contorted in pain. I'll go get someone right away. Carter grabbed my hand and with a gentle pull, I fell on top of him. What are you doing? I stammered. Carter, are you okay? Jenna had brought the set crew over. Hearing the voices, I immediately pushed Carter off and stood up, moving a short distance away from him. The crew sent Carter to the hospital. After a doctor's examination, it turned out Carter only had some scrapes and wasn't in any serious trouble. After 2 days of rest, filming continued. On the last day of shooting, Carter drank a lot. The director, sensing the unspoken tension between Carter and me, asked me to take Carter back to his room. Who knew that after the assistant and I managed to get Carter onto the bed and the assistant left, just as I was about to leave, Carter would grab my wrist. His eyes were half closed as he mumbled 2 words, "Don't go." Carter was muttering something else, but I couldn't hear him clearly. I had to lean in close, trying to make out what he was saying. Fiona, don't go. I like you. My heart was pounding. Faced with Carter's drunken confession, I ran. I fled on a plane that very night. When Carter woke up the next day, he probably didn't see me and texted me, "Where did you go?" Me, home. After a long internal struggle, I typed and deleted messages in the chat window. Carter, you've been typing for 5 minutes. Fiona, is something on your mind? Yes, my friend. A lot is on my mind. Me, do you remember what you said yesterday? Carter, what did I say yesterday? Looks like he forgot. That's okay, I'll remind him. You said yesterday, Fiona, I like you. Carter, you confessed to me yesterday. Carter replied instantly, that doesn't count. His next message came through, but I was in no mood to read it. I had already navigated to the delete this contact screen. I tapped confirm. And then I blocked him. For the next few days, Carter and I had no contact. But somehow, old high school classmates kept getting my phone number. They'd call to catch up, and at the end of the conversation, they would all say the same thing. Carter wants you to unblock him on your chat app. He has something to say to you. I ignored them, just hanging up the phone every time. A couple of days later, I received an email. I opened it, and it read, Fiona, you have to come to my concert. Signed, Carter. Inside the email was a concert ticket. Carter seemed terrified that I wouldn't go. The next page said, we pinky promised. You should remember, right? Liars are dogs. I thought to myself, it's not the end of the world to be a promise-breaking dog once in my life. But I didn't throw the stuff in my hand away like trash. What came before the concert was an online mob attack directed at me. The hashtag Carter and female reporter flirting shot to the top of the trending list. The post featured the photo from the set accident, of me lying on top of Carter. A large number of Carter's fans immediately unfollowed him. An alleged insider even commented, "Isn't this Fiona? I know her. Isn't she the reporter who interviewed Carter for Crush Confession? Go look up the company this reporter works for. Does her little dump of a company look like it can afford Carter? Who knows if she didn't sleep her way into it? No way, I thought this girl was really pretty and gave off a good vibe. Please, it's always the pretty ones who sleep their way to the top. Who would want an ugly one to do that? Can the people above stop being so nasty? Spreading rumors has legal consequences. Oh, look, the reporter's on her burner account now. Go ahead, sue me. Everyone stop fighting. I believe in Carter. He will definitely give us an explanation." At noon that day, Carter's official studio account announced the pre-sale for his concert. At the same time, Carter posted several messages from his own account. Carter V, if you want to know everything, come find me on the evening of June 9th. Second post, Fiona, I know you're watching. Unblock me. Third post, this isn't just a promise between me and my fans, it's between you and me too. Fourth post, there's a surprise if you come. You can block me again after, it won't be too late. For a moment, the entire internet broke. Carter's concert tickets were even harder to get than usual. A 300 ticket was being scalped for over 10 grand. Luckily, this time, I got a ticket without any effort at all. On the day of the concert, Carter had saved me a seat in the very middle of the front row. I wore a hat and a mask. Thanks to Carter, I was now famous online. A few days ago, I was chased just for taking out the trash. The opening song of the concert was Crush Confession. Carter was wearing a white shirt, a smile he couldn't hide on his face. You came after all. The sound of deafening screams instantly erupted around me. Is that female reporter among us? No way, no way, I have a really bad feeling about this. At the end of the concert, Carter's beautiful voice echoed through the stadium via the microphone. Tonight, I want to sing a song I wrote for her, for that special someone in the audience. As the intro music started, the stage lights dimmed instantly, leaving only a single spotlight on Carter. With every line he sang, he took a step closer to the audience. By the time the song ended, Carter was standing just 3 steps away from me. Fiona. He called out my name directly. Are you willing to come up on stage? Tens of thousands of gasps rushed in like a tidal wave. My world fell silent. The only sound left was the violent thumping of my own heart. I was stunned by Carter's words and actions, staring blankly at him on the stage. A staff member pushed a microphone into my hand and nudged me towards the stage. Only when I was standing in front of Carter did he continue. Actually, I found you a long time ago, but because of my contract with my company, I didn't come looking for you. I've been keeping up with you. I know you got into NYU on your own merit, I know which city you did your internship in, and I even know you love the noodle shop to the left of your old office building. Does that sound a little creepy? I nodded and then shook my head. Okay, actually, the first few things I found out from our classmates. The last part is true, though. Because you blocked me, my only option was to wait outside your office every day. I'm saying all this because, I like you. You ran away that day. Are you going to run away again today? My voice was choked with emotion, but clear. You remembered, so why did you say it didn't count? You blocked me too fast. I was going to say I wanted to give you a much bigger, grander confession. This late, grand, and passionate confession. The main character was me. Fiona, will you be my girlfriend? Carter asked again. I will. Amidst the roaring cheers of the entire stadium, Carter took 2 steps forward, pulled me into his arms, and whispered in my ear. Actually, Crush Confession has another version, a duet. Want to complete it with me? Okay. The concert ended. The hashtag Carter Confesses shot to the top of the trending list. Netizens poured in with their blessings. No, I'm seriously heartbroken. Do people with mutual high school crushes where the other person becomes a huge star actually exist? As a casual observer, what direction do I need to bow in to get a boyfriend like this? I'm on my knees for this one. I need a tutorial on how to have a high school classmate who's a huge star have a crush on me. Carter's debut film is set to be released this fall. To better promote the movie, the director also invited me. Below the stage, dozens of reporters held up their cameras, the shutters clicking away. Soon, it was time for the Q&A session. A question for Carter. Your official girlfriend is standing to your left, and the movie's female lead is to your right. How are you feeling right now? Carter was the first to answer. My films will have countless female leads, but the leading lady of my life will always be her. After he said that, he squeezed my hand tightly. Jenna smiled gracefully. Do you guys know what reason Carter gave for rejecting people when he first transferred to our school? There was this one girl who wouldn't give up after he rejected her 3 times. Carter got so fed up he took out a photo from his book, showed it to her, and said, "This is the girl I like. Her name is Fiona." It made the girl cry. A reporter asked, "Then what about the romance rumors with you and Carter?" Jenna acted surprised. You call that a romance rumor? The only reason Carter was smiling so happily was because he was talking to me about Fiona. At this point, Jenna suddenly looked at me. Fiona, were you secretly sad when you saw the trending topic? Being suddenly called out, I was a bit dazed and nodded. Carter looked down at me and laughed. Fiona, you're such an actress. Crying in secret, but when I came to find you, you only gave me a 2-word reply. Jenna said, you're so dense. She only gave you 2 words because she was jealous. If she wasn't, she wouldn't have bothered to reply at all. Carter added, I like it when you act. You acted dumb in high school and it drove me so crazy I still can't forget you. I heard a young reporter in the audience squeal. Ah, I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. I'm definitely taking notes. So acting dumb gets you a boyfriend? That reporter then asked sincerely, Carter, what if you're actually dumb? Carter didn't answer her. Instead, he looked at me. Fiona, you tell me. What if she's actually dumb? I said, then just piss him off so much he drops dead, and you can move on to the next one. The next second, Carter wrapped his arm around my shoulder and sked softly. I knew I was done for. That night, Carter tied my hands with his necktie and tossed me onto the big bed. Fiona, you weren't actually pretending to be dumb with the goal of pissing me off so I'd die and you could move on, were you? He seemed to have been amused by my words from earlier. Under the absolute pressure, I of course denied it. Besides, everything I said next was the truth. How could that be? Weren't you the one who said you don't like smart girls? Carter paused for a moment. When did I ever say that? I helped him remember, when you rejected the girl who was ranked second in our year. I also told the class beauty that I don't like pretty girls. Were you going to make yourself ugly? I shook my head. No way. I have 1 million followers to think about. Because I'm always updating my ex with details about my relationship with Carter, his fans all urged me to open a dedicated account to document it. That way they wouldn't have to wait for someone who disappears for long stretches when he's busy to post an update. Over time, I've become a romance blogger with 1 million followers. Got an image to maintain now, do you? Carter said with a laugh. So, untie my hands first, or I won't be able to post on X tomorrow. I tried to bargain with him. We're already in bed and you're still thinking about feeding your fans? Carter leaned in, his lips brushing against my earlobe. Baby, you should probably feed me first. I'm starving.